You don't need to be a self-proclaimed hardcore gamer to know about Super Mario Bros. It's a colourful NES platformer in which you eat mushrooms, jump on turtles, and save a princess from a dragon turtle. It's not exactly rocket science, and it's heavily ingrained into pop culture, with Mario himself being about as recognisable as Mickey Mouse or Batman or, I don't know, Santa. So with over 100 Mario games being released over the years, many of them being bestsellers, why hasn't the Mario series blossomed into a film franchise? Nowadays, Hollywood make films out of anything and everything that is even remotely recognisable, because it makes for easy money. So why not Mario, or Donkey Kong, or The Legend of Zelda? Heck, even Wreck-It Ralph, a Disney film that revolves around retro video game cameos, only mentions Mario.
Oh, I'll bet that's Mario. Fashionably late, per the norm.
You never actually see him, you just get Bowser in the intro, and that's it. What's the deal? Well, Nintendo themselves became very protective about their more popular brands after the Super Mario Bros. Film in 1993, which turned out to be a miserable box office failure.
They're brothers. They're plumbers.
Oh no! Mario!
Luigi! They're on the trail of a kidnapped princess.
The film itself was hated by fans and panned by critics, mainly for deviating so hard from the source material. Does that really justify the failure though? Is the movie nearly as bad as people say? Let's take a look at this Bob-omb from another angle. Ha! Bob-omb, like the Mario character. I'm sure nobody's ever made that joke before. At the time of this film's development, the mainstream Super Mario Bros. Game had incredibly flimsy plots, which did not lend themselves well to film adaptation. For real, the first game had Mario and Luigi travel through the Mushroom Kingdom to save Princess Toadstool from King Koopa. The second game, released in the West, was a non-canonical dream, with the second game being released in Japan, having Mario and Luigi travel through the Mushroom Kingdom to save Princess Toadstool from King Koopa. The third game had Mario and Luigi travel through the Mushroom Kingdom to save Princess Toadstool from King Koopa. The Game Boy game had
Mario
travel through
Sarah's Land
to save
Princess Daisy
from
a Million.
And the Super Nintendo game had
Mario, Luigi, and Yoshi
travel through
Dinosaur Land
to save
Princess Toadstool
from
King Koopa.
Do you see an overall pattern by any chance? Aside from the trippy dream with the vegetables and the frogs, all of the games have the same plot with very minor differences. With that in mind, what do you do for a film adaptation? Clearly, the most sensible answer is to combine them all and develop things from there. That way, everybody will be pleased. So, what we ended up with was a film about
Mario and Luigi
travelling to
Dinosaur Land,
formerly the
Mushroom Kingdom,
to save
Princess Daisy and Yoshi
from
King Koopa.
So there we have the basic plot of the games, but that alone would have made for a very dull and very predictable film. As such, some bold steps and artistic liberties were taken. They didn't play it safe. You know, like modern Hollywood. And even though it arguably went too far, I still feel like that's something to celebrate. So, let's get into the film breakdown. It starts off with a very jarring opening sequence with talking dinosaurs.
You know, it just don't get no better than this.
Yeah, most people tuned out by this opening. It is a doozy. But it does establish the film's universe. Already we have a setup that is way more creative than travelling through a magical pipe to a magical kingdom. We're presented with two parallel dimensions, one where humans evolved as mammals, and another as reptiles, which sounds like something out of a Doctor Who subplot. After a bizarre sequence involving a group of nuns and a reptilian baby, a sequence which blurs the lines between science and religion but is never really addressed again, we finally meet our two plumbing heroes. Bob Hoskins is great as a grumpy, no-nonsense Mario. The "woohoo, look at me, I'm a happy Italian, mamma mia" Mario persona that we are familiar with today hadn't been established yet. And honestly, I prefer the gruff, cynical, blue-collar Mario a lot more.
Are you telling us that you can arrest a guy for being a plumber? Get out of here! Get in there, plumber! No! Hey, what is this?
All right, what do we do?
But John Leguizamo's Luigi, on the other hand, seems kind of dull to me. In the games, Luigi is characterized as the cowardly second fiddle, living in his brother's shadow, but showing heroic traits when push comes to shove. But this film presents him as an optimistic, but incompetent greenhorn whose reckless bravery actually drives the story and takes focus away from Mario himself. Giving it some thought, I reckon the most interesting take on the Mario brothers came from some of the Deep cartoons, which touted Mario as a gruff leader and Luigi as his cowardly sidekick. Anyways, the first chunk of the film takes place in New York City, where Luigi meets and falls in love with an archaeologist named Daisy. He offers her a lift in the company van and asks her out on a date. The date, or double date, what with Mario bringing his girlfriend Daniela, goes very well. But once the date ends, Daniela finds herself kidnapped by a pair of dim-witted goons. Okay, who is this? Well, according to the film's script, Daniela's middle name is Pauline, which makes her a reference to Mario's first appearance in the game Donkey Kong. That really makes you wonder why they didn't just call her Pauline, but whatever. While that kicks off, Mario, Luigi, and Daisy find themselves at an underground dig site, which is being flooded by a local scumbag named Scapelli. Okay, 1, that is a strange place to visit during a romantic date. 2, Scapelli's inclusion is pretty much pointless and he should have been left on the cutting room floor. And 3, can we move on to the fun part of the film now? Alrighty, so Mario and Luigi get knocked out by the same two goons, and Daisy, being the reptilian woman they were hunting for the whole time, gets kidnapped. The brothers recover miraculously quickly though, and pursue the baddies through a dimensional rift caused by the very meteorite that assumingly killed off the dinosaurs. This is where the film goes completely gonzo. Once the brothers arrive in the dinosaur world, which looks radical by the by, the film becomes somewhat chaotic and incomprehensible, which is what put off a lot of the critics.
Where are we?
I don't know, maybe we got knocked unconscious.
Why did that happen?
All right. Get him up, suckers! Cooper coins! I need Cooper coins, you labels!
What's that lady's deal? We've only been here for like 3 minutes. But honestly, I love this setting. And its weird, gritty, 90s punk aesthetic. Even the reptilian human reimaginings of characters like Toad and the Goombas seem really fascinating to me.
Got no resources in a great big stupor, all because of the evil King Koopa.
Like, what? Did you really want a faithful adaptation of the squawky-voiced nightmare creature that is Toad? And yes, a strong argument could be made that Jim Henson-esque puppetry could have been used to bring the diverse, interspecies cast of the Mario games to life. But I can't shake the feeling that a live-action Goomba would just look daft, no matter how you approach it. The most interesting facet of this world is the ever-present influence of King Koopa, who, if nobody else is gonna say it, I will, is less like Bowser and more like Donald Trump. For reals, Dennis Hopper's take on King Koopa is so reminiscent of Trump it's quite scary. Aside from the general appearance and mannerisms, he's a narcissistic tyrant who craves power, he considers himself a genius, but he has nothing to show for it, he's short-tempered, he's rude, he's racist, he's creepy towards women, and he resides in an ominous tower. It's not confirmed in the film, but I'm willing to bet that King Koopa also goes on incomprehensible rants on Twitter. Dino Twitter. After an extensive and chaotic turn of events, full of action, betrayal,
I'll show him! We've got to stop her!
and romance, the Mario brothers finally confront King Koopa, whose devious plan is to reunite a meteor shard with the meteor itself, merging the two dimensions. This would give him the opportunity to de-evolve normal humans back into apes, and then rule the combined worlds. All with a Nintendo Super Scope, apparently.
Monkey!
This plan actually works out for a few moments, only for Luigi and Daisy to crack the meteor and immediately undo it, which seems like a pretty major flaw in the plan, something Koopa really should have taken into account. The final fight is a cacophony of rocket launchers, jet shoes, flamethrowers, and a bob-omb that rocks the world's most adorable product placement. But after taking a blast from his own Devolver Ray, Koopa finally takes on his fittingly monstrous form. Sadly, an opportunity is missed here for a real showdown, as the brothers blast him into a CGI nightmare and then into primordial ooze, which is also a CGI nightmare. With Koopa's tyranny laid to waste, the Mushroom Kingdom is restored to its former glory, and the plumbers return home. But before the movie can wrap up neatly,
Luigi, Mario!
Daisy!
You gotta come with me, I need your help.
What's wrong?
You're never gonna believe this.
I believe it.
You do?
I believe.
it ends with a cliffhanger, which is something of a point of contention considering that it never got a sequel. And understandably so. The film was hated by critics, Mario purists, and even the cast itself, who unfortunately had to deal with executive meddling, reshoots, and even numerous injuries in Hoskins' case.
If you're going to survive this film, you've got to be very careful. You know, suddenly you've agreed to do your own stunts. I do it every time.
But despite all these negative factors, I still kind of like this film for how weird it was, as did a few other people. This earned the film a cult following. In 2013, a pair of writers named Stephen Applebaum and Ryan Hoss began work on a very cool-looking comic sequel to the film, confirmed as canon by Parker Bennett, one of the film's writers. It can be found at smbthecomic.com, and I highly recommend it, even though it sadly hasn't seen an update since last year. I don't know. At this point we should just fund these guys. We need some solid closure here. To those of you wondering, I would actually recommend Super Mario Bros. If you haven't seen it before. It's so bizarre and unique, it actually makes for a really good time if you've got friends to watch it with. There are definitely worse films out there. Thanks for watching, guys. I was a little worried about uploading this as I have quite a contrarian take on this film, but whether or not you care for it, I'd much appreciate a like, comment, subscription, all that jazz. I have a Patreon too, so if you want to send a little monthly cash my way, and I do mean a little, like £1 or $2 will do, please do. It would be much appreciated. Thank you, and goodbye.